Hello, this is Dr. Michael Greger coming to you live from my treadmill as I do every month, answering the questions you may have. Just at half an hour on Facebook Live at noon Eastern, and now here we are on YouTube. All right. I noticed that the list of questions I have in kind of the live chat box here on the YouTube live thing is actually different from the list actually on the page, which is kind of strange. So I don't know exactly how they order each, but I'm just going to go through one by one the list I have in front of me here. For those of you unfamiliar with my work, every year I read through every issue of every English language nutrition journal in the world. So busy folks like you don't have to. I then compile the most interesting, most groundbreaking, the most practical findings. These new videos and articles I upload nearly every day to my nonprofit site, nutritionfacts.org. Everything on the website is free. There are no ads, no corporate sponsorship, strictly non-commercial, not selling anything, just put up as a public service, as a labor of love, as a tribute to my grandmother, whose own life was saved with evidence-based nutrition. Let's get to your questions. First question from Charles Sider. Do you have any thoughts regarding the HPV vaccine? Our doctor has recommended for our 12-year-old daughter. Thank you. You are so welcome. HPV vaccine is not something I've looked into in terms of efficacy and safety, but I do know that cervical cancer is a horrific cancer, which is caused actually by HPV. If there's anything that can do to reduce risk, I am all in favor. Trinda Ahumla says, why shouldn't you eat raw tofu? You shouldn't eat raw tofu because of food safety reasons. Bacteria can grow on it. That's why we should cook our tofu before eating it. Same thing with tempeh, actually. Leah Holman says, can you address our need or with the exception of like more new tofu, aseptic packaged tofu, like in those little kind of rectangular boxes, that's actually sterile. That's actually, you don't have to cook that. You can just dump it in a smoothie or something. Anyway, Leah Holman, can you address our need or lack thereof for collagen? We need lots of collagen in our skin and bones, but guess what? We make all we need. Our body's pretty amazing. We don't need to eat any. Mark Smith, what are your thoughts about taking anti-aging supplements like nicotinamide or resveratrol? I have some resveratrol videos, and I'll be going through all the purported anti-aging supplements in my next book, How Not to Age, which will be out December 2022. Holly Lee says, do I recommend the use of vegan protein supplements? I do not recommend the use of vegan protein supplements. Why? Because I encourage us to get all of our nutrients, including the macronutrients, fat, protein, carbs, from whole plant foods. So anyone who doesn't know how to get protein on a plant-based diet doesn't know beans. Legumes, beans, poultry, chickpeas, and lentils are the plant protein superstars of the kingdom. I encourage people to fit into their daily routine. In fact, in my daily dozen checklist of all the healthiest of healthy foods, I encourage people to fit into their daily routine. Legumes, 3 servings a day. You can go to Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen. It's a free app, iPhone and Android. So you'll be eating lots of protein. But surrounded by folate and fiber and all the other wonderful things you get when you get protein from whole plant sources rather than some isolated powder. All right. Robert USAGA. VegSource is pointing to studies that too much B12 could be associated with higher risk of cancers. Do we need to be watching that or is not credible? I actually have a whole webinar coming out let me get this right. I believe it's May 28th. Let me just make sure really quick. Here it is. Let me see. It is May 28th, indeed. May 28th, 2020 at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be doing a whole webinar talking about my new vitamin B12 recommendations and what type is the best, and can you get too much? What about acne? What about lung cancer? What about bone fractures? Blah, blah, blah. I'll be going through all the research. But bottom line, spoiler alert, don't worry about it. Just because those with higher levels of B12 in their blood are more likely to suffer cancer. How do you get high B12 levels in your blood? Eat a lot of meat. Associating with high meat consumption with cancer is no big shocker. And it can be reverse causation. Cancer actually causes B12 to go up. And so that's why cancer patients have high levels of B12, on and on and on. I'll go through all the science. Stay tuned. Gamer X, are air fryers healthy? It depends what you're air frying, right? If you're, it's like, are microwaves healthy? Not if you're eating Hot Pockets, right? But if you're eating microwaving your broccoli, perfectly fine, fantastic. So same thing. If air fryers make eating healthy more convenient, I say go for it. And so what do I use my air fryer for? Sweet potato fries, purple sweet potato fries, one of my favorite snacks. I've got a whole bunch in the crisper right now. In fact, you're making me hungry. I may actually whip some out for dinner before I go back on the road tomorrow morning. Okay, Rick Neville asked, do I have any comments about consumerlabs.com? They review scientific reviews of supplements. Yeah, well, consumerlabs.com is a .com. And they've been criticized in the past for basically kind of taking bribes from supplement companies to give better results. But so it's sad that it's often the best source of information in terms of third-party testing of contaminants and to make sure that the product actually has what's in it. But wouldn't it be nice to actually do it from a nonprofit that didn't have conflicts of interest? Well, you can, USP certification. So if you see a little label that says USP on it, that means that a nonprofit actually certified that what's on the label is actually what's in the bottle. Now, it doesn't mean it's good for you, right? But at least you're taking what you bought. And so there's a number of brands that have USP certification, but you have to see it on the actual bottle, on the actual product. So Nature Made is one, Kirkland Signature is another one. And so that would be a good idea when choosing supplements. Okay. Vanessa Harden Branch says, can Diet Coke cause stroke, heart attacks, and should I give it up for Lent and replace it with tea? What do you think? No, I actually have a video about diet soda and stroke risks specifically. You can check that out. Yes, I encourage people to move away from artificial sweeteners. And green tea is indeed one of the three healthiest beverages on earth, besides tap water and hibiscus tea, which is a type of herbal tea. Andy Perez says, thanks for helping me find my health. His loved ones thank me. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Vanessa Harden Branch is back saying, as a fellow physician, I must say that I'm simply, that's very sweet. That's very nice. Very sweet message from Vanessa. Linda W. How is walking related to longevity or brain function? I actually have a video. It's kind of a funny video, which has a article about how fast do you have to walk to outwalk the angel of death, the scythe dude. So I talk about walking and longevity. I forget the exact statistics, but it's really quite remarkable. And I do talk about modest intensity exercise and brain function as well. Just check those videos out on nutritionfacts.org. Dan Four says, I have brown rice at least 5 times a week. It's difficult to source because it's from restaurants, but I do at least live in California. Should I be worried about arsenic? I do encourage you to diversify your grains. You say, wait a second, I eat out all the time. That's all I got is brown rice. BYOG. Bring your own groats, bring your own grains. And so, yeah, you could just bring some Tupperware sorghum and do that. Diversify your grains to decrease your arsenic intake. You say, what? Arsenic rice? I have a whole long series of videos, and I was quite convinced by them. And if you watch them and are not convinced, then eat all the rice you want. That's not my takeaway from it. Roger N. Wahlberg says, is stevia okay for you? Does it do negative things in the long run? A recent video talking about stevia, monk fruit, and I believe aspartame found negative effects in terms of blood sugars. Part of it may be from microbiome effects. But I would check out that video. Just type in stevia into nutritionfacts.org and that video will pop up. So I encourage people to move away from both artificial and added caloric sweeteners. Joseph 1NJ says, Doc question, answer, plans, Doc. Okay, just a comment. Mark N, is it okay to eat kale if you're taking thyroxine? The answer is absolutely. Eat kale, even if you're on thyroxine. Carl Leonard says, my father has several heart attacks. 9 stents in the aorta. Aortic stents. He thinks. He's doing well on Sotacor to regulate his heart, statins, and low blood pressure his whole life. What do you recommend? What do you mean? What do I recommend? I recommend the only diet ever proven to reverse heart disease. The majority of patients, a plant-based diet, right? Summer 1990, Dr. Gino Orsh's lifestyle heart trial proved for the first time in a randomized controlled trial with angiographic evidence, quantitative angiography, you actually see what happened inside the arteries, opening up arteries without drugs, without surgery. And so that's what he should do. And if that was the only thing a plant-based diet could do, reverse the number one killer of men and women, you'd think that'd be the default diet until proven otherwise. And indeed, the fact that it also can help prevent, arrest, and reverse other leading killers like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, would seem to make the case for plant-based eating simply overwhelming. Stella Alkanizzi asks, Dr. McDougall recommends no more than 1 cup of beans a day. Otherwise difficult on the kidneys. I would be surprised if Dr. McDougall said such a thing. I encourage people to eat the equivalent of 1.5 cups of beans, so 3 servings of legumes a day. It doesn't have to be beans, but that would be good for you, not bad for you. Felipe Gama says, hello, this is one of your videos that say about bacteria in the mouth that interact with alcohol that creates substances that cause cancer. What if we drink the beverages using a straw? So even if you drink alcohol with a straw, you will still create carcinogens. Alcohol is carcinogenic. It increases your risk of cancer without the corresponding benefits in terms of heart disease, which is something we used to think. And so I would encourage people to minimize their intake of alcohol. Straw or not. Cass Schweers says, I've been whole plant-based for almost 4 years. Weight, not an issue. LDL, though, not going below 112. Should I be worried? We really do want to get your LDL lower than that. For primary prevention, meaning preventing your first heart attack, we really want it under 70. How do you do that? Well, if you've already, first I'd make sure you're not eating any, tropical oils like coconut oil or palm kernel oil, or putting some kind of coconut oil or palm oil based creamer in your coffee or something like that. But if you really are cutting out all sources of foods that components that increase your cholesterol, such as dietary cholesterol found mostly in eggs, saturated fats, which are found mostly in meat and dairy and junk food, but also found in the tropical oils, and trans fats, which are mostly found in meat and dairy, now that they've been pretty much banned from the food supply in terms of junk food with the partially hydrogenated oils. So if you've already done that, you've got rid of the bad stuff. And in that case, most people come right down to perfect. A LDL down to about 68 on average, but it's a bell curve, and you find yourself above the bell curve, like it sounds like you are, then first of all, you want to make sure you don't have a secondary cause of hypercholesterolemia, meaning non-dietary causes, such as getting your thyroid checked and things, just to make sure there's nothing else going on. But if that all checks out fine, then you need to add foods that actively pull cholesterol from your body. And that's why I encourage you to check out the Portfolio Diet by Dr. David Jenkins at the University of Toronto, which is not only a plant-based diet, but adds specific foods that pull cholesterol from your body, such as soluble fiber-rich foods, slimy foods like okra, oatmeal, eggplant, etc., to drop your cholesterol further and keep getting you tested. Make sure you get it down to target. Okay, Mary Kober says, can you take omega-3s if you take Xarelto for AFib? I do not know the answer to that question. I would have to look it up. Sorry about that. Jerry Bale says, what causes one's balance to be off? All sorts of neurological conditions or inner ear conditions. Go to your doctor, get it checked out. Jay Moriarty says, how much fiber per day is recommended? Well, the official kind of National Academy of Sciences recommendation is comes out to be about 30 grams a day, depending if you're a man and woman. But but we evolved getting more than 100 grams a day, and the healthiest populations getting between 60 and 100. A good, healthy plant-based diet like what Ornish had was about 60 grams of fiber a day. Basically, pretty much the more, the better in whole plant food form. So that'd be mostly whole grains and legumes. Since people are like, well, what do you mean? I don't have to worry about fiber, eat lots of fruits and vegetables. There's not a lot of fiber in fruits and vegetables. Why? Because they're mostly water, which is great for weight loss, but not in terms of nailing your fiber recommendations. Andrea Clatter asks, which B12 supplement would you recommend for babies? I can't seem to find a USP certified Sanocobalamine for babies. Well, no, it's the mom takes a Sanocobalamine, gets B12 in her breast milk, and that's how babies get their B12 through the only thing they should be eating when they're babies, and that's human breast milk. Mary Cobra says, does a plant-based diet increase risk of stroke? It's a great question. I have a new webinar, which came out yesterday and now available as a digital download, 12 videos. I'm talking about the EPIC Oxford study that suggested that vegetarians are at increased risk for stroke and why that may be and what we can do about it. So check it out. It's now available. And those videos will be up, of course, for free on nutritionfacts.org before too long. D. Floyd says, there are any studies on vegans who are super tasters? Oh, interesting. Yes. There are some people who are more genetically sensitive to bitterness. And so how are we going to prepare greens in a way, make them more palatable? You smother them with a healthy, delicious sauce, and that will make them delicious for anybody. And so Linda W, I guess, sounds like they're responding saying, try diluted vinegar. I don't know if that would work, but sure, why not? Bronson S says, according to Jeff Nelson, B12 supplements cause cancer, and vegans are better off not taking it. There's no way even Jeff Nelson would say something that crazy and dangerous. People need to take get a regular, reliable source of vitamin B12. There's no way he actually said that. He would be putting people at risk. And so, yes, it's not true. Take your B12. Olga Mariz says, recently got your 2 books. 2 questions. Got a reverse osmosis, concerned about mineral-free water. Reverse osmosis seems like a very wasteful process to purify your water. I'd be more concerned about the waste than the lack of minerals. You can get minerals from the healthy foods you eat. And how to stop extreme gas when eating legumes. Nothing seems to help. Check out my blog called Clearing the Air. I'm talking about beans and gas and all the recommendations to make it better. Jay is back saying, my mother's diagnosed with a pre-form of white skin cancer. Which nutrition advice is most valuable for skin cancer patients? I have a bunch of videos on skin cancer. I'm not exactly sure what skin cancer you're referring to. Pat Dinges says, what are the causes of high blood pressure? Oh, and what does the effect of alcohol have on high blood pressure? The primary cause of high blood pressure is having clogged, crippled, stiffened arteries. And the way you make it better is you treat the cause by improving your diet, which includes a whole food plant-based diet, low in salt. And what does alcohol do to your blood pressure? That's a good question. I don't know what the acute and chronic effects of alcohol on high blood pressure are, but regardless, increase your risk of killer. Number 2, cancer. So I encourage people not to drink it. Sean Martin says, first, thank you so much. Oh, you are so welcome. Okay. So Sean basically says, wake up at 3:30 every day to work at 5. Am I better off eating my breakfast at 4? Should I wait until lunchtime at 9:30? Lunchtime at 9:30. 4. That's a good question. That may be a little too early. So ideally we should kind of eat breakfast at daybreak. But yeah, before 10, as long as you're getting your calories in before 10. So yeah, I would go for 9:30 there. Michael Kajer asks, you recommended 0.8 grams per healthy kilogram body weight is sufficient. Would that be the ratio for adults, both strength and endurance athletes? I would encourage 0.8 grams per healthy kilogram body weight for everybody. Christian, you has Why that rate do I? Oh, why do I recommend 2 tablespoons of almond butter per 2 cups of water to make almond milk? It's just a recipe in my How Not to Die cookbook to make a consistency. You can use any ratio you want. Nothing special about the ratio other than trying to make something that was relatively milky, a whole food source. So nothing bad added, nothing good taken away, which is very difficult to find for anything sold in a package. Okay, Wylant Sungazer says elephants, horses, and rhinos all get the protein from plants. Imagine a African bush elephant who weighs 13,000 pounds just from plant protein. Okay, we're not elephants though, but we should still, of course, get our protein from plants. But arguing from elephanthood is not convincing to me. Jamie, because we actually have human data. Why argue from elements when we have human data showing what the best sources are? Jamie Rautio asks, for my 21 tweaks every day, you take your daily dose. Can I mix all those spices together in water and down it? You absolutely can. Sounds nasty, but yeah, sure. In fact, I know at least one company is working on putting all those spices into pills, and you just take them. That would work too. Christian Krashmer says our third kid, age 3 months, vomits a lot. Any food advice? Only breastfeeding. You should go see your physician. Make sure he doesn't have some kind of hernia or whatever that's causing that problem. Bronson asks, here we go. No, we already did that. Cherie T says, thank you for your hard work. What about complex regional pain syndrome, reflex sympathetic dystrophy? Can a plant-based diet help? It certainly can't hurt. Though I don't know of any dietary interventions that have been used for that period. Sean San Lane says advanced glycation in products, not much of a question, but we should indeed try to cut down, which is basically mostly cutting down on meat cooked at high temperatures. Oliver Lucas says, do you know if there will be live streams from some of the events on your tour? Some of them are set up on live streams. So you can go to the individual sites to check it out. We just put up a new page yesterday on nutritionfacts.org. Go to nutritionfacts.org/speaking dates with a hyphen in the middle, speaking-dates. It's a beautiful form. So you can look at it in calendar form or a list form. You click on it, you can get taken right to the site where you can get tickets or reserve your spot, and there may be information about the live streaming there. But hopefully you can just come see the show yourself. Okay. Brock says, how do you gain weight on a plant-based diet? Well, if you're talking about muscle weight, you do that with resistance exercise. If you're talking about gaining fat, then you eat more calories. How do you do that? You eat really calorically dense plant food. So, nut butters, seed butters, avocados, smoothies, trail mix all the time, dried fruit. You get a lot of calories in a small space. That's the way you do it. MPT Motown asks, why am I unusually bloated after eating beans? I have tried eating beans without any food and get a similar feeling of heaviness. Well, obviously your microbiome is having a problem with your beans, but that should change as you slowly ramp your way up. And your body's able to deal with all those wonderful prebiotics. VN Hockey says, very nice things. You are so welcome. Lowrider says, yo, back to you. Shara T, guys, any hope for Parkinson's patients to improve on a plant-based diet? I actually do have a video not only on preventing Parkinson's, actually treating Parkinson's disease. I'm actually working on new videos as we speak. I was just not as we speak, but yesterday I was working on new Parkinson's videos. Looking forward to putting them up on the site. And in fact, if there's enough new juicy stuff out there, I may actually do a webinar on all the new data. Sam Lane says, are chestnuts healthy? Well, whenever you ask if anything's healthy compared to what? Compared to most things, presumably chestnuts are healthy, but there's nothing, I don't know. Yeah, as a snack, yeah, of all snack foods out there, chestnuts aren't bad. Henny says, hello, what do I think about NAD supplements? Thank you so much for your work. Last time I looked into it, there wasn't much there. Don't listen to anyone who's selling you supplements, whether or not they're good for you. But I know some people take them for longevity, so I'll certainly review them in my next book, How Not to Age, coming out December 2022. What are the most, Ben Hole asks, what are the most common deficiencies to watch out for vegans? Vitamin B12 deficiency. Most vegans who don't supplement with vitamin B12 become B12 deficient, and that can cause all sorts of horrible problems. So you make sure you get a regular, reliable source of vitamin B12, 2,000 micrograms of cyanocobalamin once a week, or 50 micrograms once a day. Or if you're over age 65, 1,000 micrograms once a day. Carla Balach. Oh, and then on May 28th, I'll have a whole series of videos talking about those B12 recommendations for people that love getting into the minutia. You know I do, but we don't need to get into it right now. All right. Carla Balak asks, any research comparing whole food plant-based diet to an omnivore diet rich in plant foods? At what point and what quantity do meat and dairy become bad for our health? So any diet packed with whole plant foods is going to be a healthier diet. It doesn't matter what you eat on your holidays, birthdays, special occasions, the day-to-day stuff that really adds up. And the more we can stuff whole plant foods into our face, the better. In terms of what that cutoff is, I talk about data in my new evidence-based weight loss talk, how those going eating plant-based, adding just a serving a week of meat or more to their diet, doubled or tripled their odds of diabetes and stroke, heart disease, weight gain, and associated with a 3.6-year drop in life expectancy. It's going from zero meat to once a week meat or more. And then in the introduction of How Not to Die, talk about this interesting study looking at Buddhist monks eating just a few servings of meat a week versus not, and seeing significant increase in diabetes rates. But presumably there's some level at which your body could bounce back from injury. We're not exactly sure what that level is, though. Joshua Gerloff says, should I try to get 100% or 0% of my daily RDA for sodium? You don't have to worry about getting you don't have to worry about getting enough sodium. Just eating whole healthy plant foods will get you. There's naturally sodium found in foods that grow out of the ground, so you don't have to go out of your way. The biggest problem is too much sodium, keeping under our 1,500 milligrams a day. All right, San Lane says, my potassium is 7 times higher than sodium. Is that okay? Well, we probably evolved getting about 10,000 milligrams of sodium a day. Certainly we want to get at least 4,700, and 98% of Americans don't reach that. Why? Because they're not eating enough beans and grains. Sounds like you're doing better than most. Congratulations. All right. Ben Hull says, I recently heard you say that sweeteners mess with blood sugar level thermometer. Is that true for all sweeteners, including erythritol? Well, erythritol wasn't tested in that particular study, but erythritol can maintain your hyper sweet palate such that all of a sudden you're on vacation or something without erythritol. People think healthy foods just won't taste as sweet, and so then you may grab for the sugar, and that wouldn't be a good idea. Felipe Gama says, do we really have to drink 2 liters of water per day? Well, that's not what I said. What is it? 9 to 13 cups. So what's a liter? Oh, well, a liter's only 8 cups. 2 liters would be only 8 cups. So yeah, okay. Do we really need to drink that? Yes, we really need to drink that. Azucena Vasquez. Hi, Dr. Greger. Thank you so much for your books and videos. That's awesome. You're so welcome. Chris Butler, how do you maintain a whole food plant-based diet while you travel? You don't. You do your best. But it's getting easier all the time to eat healthier. And finally, Emily Colbertson says, since I started eating whole food plant-based diet, my periods have gotten very light. This month I missed it altogether. Otherwise, I feel amazing. Is this normal? Any suggestions? It's certainly normal for your periods to get less painful after switching to whole food plant-based diet, but you should not be missing your periods. And in fact, anovulatory ovulation and ovulatory infertility is actually less in vegetarians. And so what may be happening is you may be losing so much weight, you're under a body fat percentage threshold by which your body thinks, oh my God, must be in a famine. This is not the time to have babies. And in that case, you can, there's this so-called female athlete triad, where you pull your body fat and your dietary fat and your dietary calories so low that your body stops your periods. And that's really bad for long-term bone health. So I would go to your, so if that is the problem, you may need to stop losing so much weight. Ben Hull. Oh, well, I'm sorry. We're out of time. Well, until next month, or maybe I'll see you on the road in the next few weeks. I'm basically on the road for a whole month now. And so it's going to be quite the packed carry-on. See you later, everybody. Take care of yourself and try your best to eat healthy.